What is the song that they sing?
Every morning I wake up, before I put on my makeup, I say a little bit for you, forever, ever. And I will love you all, and always be heartbreak on me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to play that in the morning at Starbucks for everyone. They'd be like, and this is for me and me alone.
And they're like, all right.
They're like, can I please have a small hot coffee?
Like, you sure can. No,
You
you
sure
won't.
can, because every morning I wake
wake
up.
They're like, oh, I have to find a new spot.
We're back.
And better than ever.
I'm Kelly.
I'm Tamara.
And this is
Ghoul
Beans.
You know what we stopped doing entirely?
Our podcast.
Other than that,
What?
why are we care? Why are we scared? Why do we care?
Why do we care today? I don't.
And I support you and whatever you need.
But why do you care? What do we even care about?
I care because seemingly I can't. Anywhere I go is haunted. Anywhere I go, anywhere I've been, there's a ghost,
And that's why you scare.
and that's why I'm scared, bro.
Yeah.
Why are you scared? Why do you care?
Why am I scared? I don't know. The house is less haunted. At least.
Interesting.
Yeah. And why do I care? Well, we don't.
Saturn return.
What? Sagittarius return. Saturn return.
Saturn's returning, and you're a Sagittarius.
I wish it would get out.
It's gonna be a little while longer, Queen.
It's a lot. No. It's been a dumpster fire of a life these past couple weeks, which is why we haven't had an episode out.
Yeah, because I know you guys were definitely wondering, right?
All two of you.
Knocking at our door, going, "Where the fuck is the episode?"
But
life has been lifing.
Crying. Life has lifed long enough.
Come put this microphone in my hand and make me do it.
Yeah. So today we're drinking tiramisu.
Espresso martinis.
Espresso martinis because life has been lifing.
Are they triples? Maybe.
We-
Who's to say?
We actually didn't measure, so.
Because you know what? Life's a recipe, but it's all up to you.
Life's a recipe and your heart is the ingredients.
The coffee in it is Bustelo.
Yeah.
So the espresso is Bustelo.
And the tiramisu is cheese.
It's mascarpone and sugar and cream. Frothed by hand, by the way, like Amish style.
Yeah. We churned it out.
Yeah. And dumped it in there. And it's like a very, very like super creamy espresso martini that's also the size of a margarita.
Super creamy espresso martini.
Margarita.
Baked ziti.
Yeah. Speaking of baked ziti, massacholi.
Oh.
I had to show my partner what true massacholi is.
You having lasagna?
No.
You're having spaghetti?
Kinda, but rigatoni.
Oh.
But I love rigatoni.
Not for a massacholi, though.
No, but the massacholi, I showed you the way, the truth, and the light.
Like in a big baking sheet?
Ooh, bitch, with the broiled cheese on top. Fuck me up.
I love that for you.
We should order a pizza.
I say yeah.
With bacon on it.
Yeah.
And jalapenos. You don't like jalapenos.
I love jalapenos.
Oh my god, put a fucking jalep on it.
I really like pizza. It's like the not Chicago.
Tavern style.
Is that when it's like roast beef and jardiniere?
Nope.
It's so good. It's so good.
You took me for a hard spin. Oh my god, I'm gonna be drunk by the end of this.
Yeah.
I had a
My
spinach and
eyebrows
feta
won't go
omelet.
I wanted to ask you, I can cut it. How are your worms? How are your ants?
Oh.
For the people of the pod, whether I don't cut this, We're not well.
No, we're not well. I have been swallowing my unwell for too long. I think because the people around me have been unwell,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody's also in this room right now
Mm-hmm.
that have been unwell. And so I've been, but not everybody. There's some other people in my life that are unwell. But I'm like, in my mind, my unwellness.
Yeah.
Oh, I could deal with that. I can like just swallow that for a little bit and then
Mhm.
like just be fine.
Right.
Turns out that's not true, and you're gonna get your ass whooped either way. Whether you're just prepared for it, or you're like not eating and not sleeping and having automatic negative thoughts or ants.
Ants.
I know. When I told my therapist that I was having worms in my brain, because I've told her this before, she goes, "By the way, it's actually there's a word for that. It's called ants."
Yeah, she's
It's
like,
so
you were
weird.
close.
Yeah, but no cigar. And so to answer your question, my ants are there's less of them.
Okay.
But I'm still finding that they're very easily out.
Yeah.
They leave the anthill very quickly and easily. It takes almost nothing for me to start going, am I bad at everything and I've never been good at anything and everyone's mad at me because I'm shit and I should be fired and I'm ugly.
Mhm.
Takes almost nothing.
Yeah.
Especially like when people's like mood is not directly affecting me.
Yeah.
I'm still like
But it
somehow
does
this is
affect
my
you.
fault.
Yeah.
Even if they like, for example, like if I bumped into somebody in the grocery store and they like gave me a weird look,
Right.
I'm gonna be like, oh, it's because I've offended them and I'm an
Mhm.
idiot and maybe I have some sort of disease. It takes a
Yeah.
then before I had my emergency therapy sesh, I was also getting I've talked about this before, is that whether or not this gets cut, but I have an anxiety that's like red meat anxiety.
Yeah.
And really it's like red meat blood anxiety.
Yeah.
And I don't always have it.
Mhm.
And I thought it was gone. I think that's a mistake about like, I'm sure that happens a lot to people with neurodivergence, is that I'm like, okay, that part of me is gone now. And it's just not. And when I'm in periods of high stress and I'm like having a lapse in my, you know, I wouldn't call it recovery, but I would call it like growth or something. Um, I start to get the red meat anxiety, even if there's nothing in the fridge.
Damn. So that's like a good like trigger warning.
Mm.
Or not trigger warning, but just like oh, okay. High stress, obviously.
Yeah, so that's what really pushed me over the edge. I was like, oh my god, now I'm having the blood anxiety, and there's literally not
Yeah.
even red meat in the fridge.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of like the whoa. And then maybe 2 days later, I got in the car. Somebody got to pick me up from work, and I got in the car. I was like, how was work? And
Yeah.
and then it was horrible. I mean, it was
Yeah.
horrible sobbing, just rolling around in the bed, like I'm never gonna get through this. I can't believe this is still happening to me. And then shame.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm so embarrassed that I let it get to this point again, or that it's still happening and I
Yeah.
have no control. I think it's like feeling like, oh, I thought I had control over this, and I have zero control over this.
Definitely.
But I'm getting some ant killer. Like, it'll be fine. Especially because I had a super busy weekend. But I feel like this weekend has gone really smoothly, and I've really like been able to like eat my meals and
Yeah.
then like get proper rest and like, really just be able to talk myself down and stuff.
Mhm.
And I saw family, and that went well, and I saw my new niece.
Yeah.
Shout out my new niece. Love her. She's so fucking cute.
Baby.
She was cute out the womb.
She was.
And I'll be one to tell you. And then her mom was like, she's actually cute, right? Like, you're not just saying that. I'm like, no, queen. She's
Backed.
cute.
You let her know it's like double backed.
Yeah. Everybody in the room was like, no,
Yeah.
she's cute.
She's really cute.
I wouldn't.
Let her know that a stranger that has no connection to the baby, who is an active participant of babies are ugly, and I will not let you know, but I'll let other people know. Her baby's very cute.
You and I both have cute nieces.
Yeah.
You have more than one, though.
Very lucky.
You're very fortunate. But obviously, our gene pool.
Well, good. I'm glad you're feeling better. And coping at least, like, better.
Yeah, and, it's not, healing isn't, like, linear, and there's gonna be all kinds of shit. And how are you doing?
I'm okay. I'm great.
You did say you were having a mentee bee.
I did have a little mentee bee today. I didn't drink water or eat a lot of food, so that did help when I
And then
did
you
do
ate,
that.
and you're like,
Yeah.
oh.
I was like, oh, maybe like I could just breathe for a second. No, I think just like life is kind of crumbling down for both me and that guy out there.
Mhm.
And like we don't, it's just like we're both at a very low.
Mm.
And it's hard to be at like low lows together, you know? It
Mm.
helps when you guys can switch off. And like we've always been able to switch off and we're both just like feeling the pressure of the world. I think this is kicking in and it feels nice. So yeah, I
You
think
ate a meal, right?
No. No, and I'm not going to. I'm a cheap date.
We're gonna order pizza.
Pizza. Do it in your singing voice. I like it. Pizza.
We're gonna order pizza. That's true though. We haven't been able to alternate. So I've been like trying to be the fine
It's
one.
hard.
It wasn't working.
Right. No.
And then now I'm lashing out at you
You're right.
because and it's not your fault at all.
Right.
The earth is moving underneath you kind of vibes.
Yeah. Nothing feels like
secure.
Nothing feels secure. Nothing feels solid. Every day it's like this could be a fresh new hell. And I don't know.
Mhm.
So I'm just going to keep going. We're going to be fine.
And you just take every day as it comes.
Yeah.
And like not like forcing yourself to feel anything. I've learned that I was born with the worms.
Yeah.
And then they were like dormant and then they were unleashed around beginning of teenage years.
Yeah.
And then they learn your habits. They know how to push your buttons.
They do.
They literally know exactly what I don't need to hear.
Yeah.
And then they'll scream it at you. Like, okay, well, let's find a bridge.
That's so funny.
Bloomingdale Bridge. I'm the Bloomingdale bride.
I'll visit your grave.
No, I'm going to be a tree.
I know.
Oh.
I'll visit your
Do you want a little
jump site.
vial of my ashes?
Yeah. And I'm going to
Snort it. What?
I'm going to snort it and then I'm going to blow it back out and I'm going to put it in like a little hourglass. Only like a 5-minute
Time
laugh.
move slowly.
Yeah, that's all.
So slowly.
Every time it just like flips over, it starts over.
I have to like record a bunch of songs in case I die so that they can put it on like a little thing. And it's just me being, DJ, please pick up the phone. I'm on the request line.
I know your body won't be in it, but I'm gonna lower your casket to that.
Is it worth it? Put my thing down, put it in reverse it. Is your if you got a big let me start.
And then I'll play you going.
People are like trying to grab you. They're like, stop.
She wanted this.
It's what she would have wanted.
Yeah. Oh my god. So anyway,
We're talking about amusement parks.
Listen,
Have you ever been to the Dells?
Of course, I've been to the Dells.
Which Dell?
The Farmer's Dell. Just kidding. I've been to the Kalahari.
Me too.
She was good.
She's arguably the best one.
She's like the only one that I don't fear infection at.
No. I fear infection. And I've been to Mount Olympus.
Oh, I've been there too.
Bitch, that's illegal. What the fuck? They should not have that running.
Why?
Well, the wave pool was closed because I think someone died before, like, recently before we went.
Have you ever been to the Great Wolf Lodge?
Yeah. Oh my God. I went with my friend and her mom and her, like, baby sister. Mm-hmm. I saved her baby sister from drowning in the wave pool. Oh I saw her little barrettes. She had like these like puffs and like these little barrettes.
Yeah.
And I saw her like sit like just floating at the water. I don't know how to at that point I did not know how to swim like that. And the waves are happening. I'm literally swimming, yanked her by the back of the fucking thing, and she's like,
oh my gosh.
And then the lifeguard dived in. And then her mom was like, so grateful. I was 12.
That's incredible.
Thank you.
You didn't know how to swim at 12?
Not in the wave pool like that.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you.
You did. And I saved her little fucking life.
I'm a national hero, and you're gonna talk about my
I'm
swimming.
a Midwestern hero. And yeah, I'm in the fucking Midwest, bitch. Where the fuck am I gonna swim? Besides in the man-made lake in Crystal Lake.
Yeah.
And which is not Crystal Lake. It's a different lake.
That used to be the lake, though, that they'd get the ice from and send it down to the city. You were swimming in history, baby. You know the
Goose Lake?
yeah, E. coli lake. You know that did you hear that there's a train at the bottom of the lake and stuff? Yeah. I bet there is. I bet it's the same train that took the ice to and fro. But still, I believe it. There could be a train in every lake in America.
What is that called?
The fear of underwater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not thalassophobia, which is the big shit, huge shit, and it's not underwater.
Yeah.
It's just fear of giant things.
Yeah.
It's called submechanophobia.
Yeah.
I very recently discovered that I have that, where it's because I have this fear that I'm gonna be stuck close to it or under it.
Under the water or under
under whatever's
stuff?
the big stuff that's under there.
I'll say I don't really have a fear of the ocean or anything, but the idea of being next to a sunken ship or a ghost town
I don't like
underwater, that is freaky.
Yeah, it makes me get nauseous and a body could come out of it and the water's contaminated. It doesn't.
There are preserved bodies.
Yeah, I know. There's submarines that we'll never get that have just dead bodies in them.
Ugh.
You imagine how putrid it is in those.
Yeah, that's fair. There's just So
today's episode
is about amusement parks that are
haunted.
I like it.
Thank you. I worked at an amusement park once.
You worked at the amusement park in America. Good old glory.
Yeah.
Walt Disney himself hired you.
Yeah, it was haunted. Disney World's haunted as fuck.
People say.
It is.
Especially in the little underground tunnels that you gotta go through.
I don't know if my partner feels like their resort that they worked at was haunted. But
Did you guys have to sign NDAs or something?
No.
Interesting.
I had famous people. I saw famous people all the time. Jack Black.
Oh, you saw Jack Black?
Yeah, he rode Barnstormer.
I feel like that's a good famous person to see.
Yeah.
Amusement parks. Do you wanna go first or second? I'll go first.
Oh, okay.
You should end it. I bet you got good ones.
I didn't. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. Okay. This is from All External 4276 on Reddit. Hi. Uh-oh.
I'm going cross-eyed right now.
I have a paranormal. I want more. There's leftovers. Okay. Hi. I have a paranormal experience in Pioneer Village in Lagoon Amusement Park. My dad told me the place where the carriages is haunted. So when I was a teenager, a few of my friends and I went there and we were being dumb teenagers and decided to take photos sitting in the carriages. Totally not allowed. How'd you get there? Whatever. In almost all the photos, there were orbs of light around us. The same day, we were in the area near closing time and there was absolutely nobody else in the village. We all of a sudden heard what sounded like hundreds of voices talking and walking past us.
No.
The air was also super thick and musky. Also, we could see particles in the air. What's so eerie and creepy is that years later, none of us had any of the photos on our phones anymore. There's only one photo left of me, and it's the one that doesn't have the orbs. And we had over 20 photos with orbs in them. I still sometimes search my camera roll, hoping I'll come across them, but they've totally disappeared. This is the only paranormal experience I've ever had where I was fully conscious, not falling asleep or waking up.
Oh.
So
I was like, wait, why were you not conscious during the other one?
Where I wasn't fully drugged. So, that's spooky. I feel like,
I would rather have an experience like that with a group of people.
Yeah, definitely. Because then it's okay, we're all in this together.
Right.
What's your take on when you take a bunch of photos and then they get home and they don't have any of them?
That's happened to me. Oh, in the story?
Just in general. You said that's
happened
happened
to me once. I had, and it's actually even weirder because it wasn't on my cell phone, it was on an actual camera.
Really?
Yeah, I was on the 8th grade Washington D.C. trip.
You have told me about this.
And we went to Gettysburg, or it's a place outside. I forget where it is, but it's this little pioneer town.
Yeah.
And it wasn't supposed to be a haunted tour, but my tour guide with the 10 other kids in my group, she was so also, I don't know if you guys believe in ghosts, but we're definitely really haunted. She threw that in there, and it peaked. I was the only one to speak up.
And?
I was like, how do you know?
Yeah.
And then the other kids in my group were like, stop. And I was like, How do you know? I'm like 12, 13.
Everyone like separates from you and you're like, how do you know?
And she was like, you can take pictures with the flash on your digital camera and you might get orbs.
Yuck.
Hundreds of them.
Oh my god.
I
And they were gone?
I took so many pictures of like just the town or like the field or like, and there were some where my friends were, or my classmates were blurry, but there were orbs in front of them.
Yeah.
Gone. And all the other pictures from the Lincoln Memorial, from the what is it called? The walk in front of the White House, whatever that's called. All of that shit was still there, and pictures after that were fine.
That's weird.
I had like maybe 2 left, and one of them was like wasn't even the town. It was like the field and like the wooden like fence corral thing, and it was like probably 100 orbs, like above the grass, and varying in sizes and color.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, so you believe them when they say that?
Not every time. I
Okay.
feel like the cell phone ones.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm like, okay.
I don't know. Ricky. Okay, your turn.
Okay. This is called Foot Tickling Ghost
Ew. Ugh. Go ahead.
by Long Live Misanthrope. Been watching YouTube videos about haunted places and remembered the one time I truly experienced a haunting. Have you ever heard of Lake Rudolph, located next to Holiday World, a theme park in Santa Claus, Indiana? Oh, okay, Midwest, keeping on theme. I'll tell you that Holiday World is a great place to visit. Fairly cheap for a theme park with an entire water park attached, some great rides in both. I highly recommend visiting it just for fun. It's got a lot of different camping arrangements, such as tents to cabins to RVs for those seeking to stay at the park for multiple days. We had stayed there a few years back and I had no strange experiences there, excluding other guests who would be loud occasionally at night. But earlier this year, we had swung by there on a trip to Michigan and stayed the night just long enough for a full day at the park. The day went by great, and I only got motion sickness once, new record, but when we went back to campsite, everything settled down into normal, relaxing evening of overexertion by the whole family. Okay, so they're having a chill night after like a really stressful theme park day. The arrangement of our beds had our parents in one bed on the opposite side of the RV with a kitchen and eating space separating them from where me and my brothers were. There were 2 sets of bunk beds and me and the middle of my brother. Oh, okay. There were 2 sets of bunk beds. Me and the middle of my brothers slept on the bottom as we are the 2 heaviest out of us. It was very late at night, roughly 3:15 in the morning, when I was awoken by the feeling of something tickling my feet. So much I was almost giggling.
Ew. Could you imagine like waking up giggling and
I just got a full body chill.
that's like vile actually.
I looked groggily over to where my foot was, hanging off the bed right next to the sliding door that partitioned our room from the rest of the RV. I didn't see anything at first, as it was almost pitch black in there, but as I leaned forward, I noticed the door, which I had specifically shut, was open just enough for a hand to reach through. I thought it was odd, and I leaned further to see if I could see who reached through, thinking it was my mom playing with me for sleeping in a strange position, when a light glittered on for a moment, like someone opened and shut a door quickly. But there was no sound of any doors, let alone footfall. I grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight. I inspected the RV. All the doors were locked from the inside and everyone was still asleep. My family does like to play pranks, but no one can keep a straight face. So quickly shining a light on their faces and having them barely move meant they were out cold. Realizing that something had touched my foot, was clearly still in there, I crept back into bed and kept my phone in my hand, with my feet pressed tightly against the wall, and waited for something to move. Nothing did, and I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. My family laughs at me when I tell them, but I know for a fact something touched me. It had 3 distinct points, like fingers, touching my soul, moving up and down. That's it.
So first of all, I've never like laughed at a family member when they're like, this spooky thing happened. I'm immediately like, what? I was in the room.
And you didn't wake me up? Like, No. Yes. I agree with you. What do you mean? Touch
Literally like
3 up and down.
well, I did it on my foot, and that is like how you would tickle.
Stop!
It's
I
gross.
I have goosebumps.
It's just like tickling is vile for you to like, because that's
And you just
you know,
like spent the day at like this theme park and
and
maybe.
it's like your body responds in laughing because it's not pain, but like it doesn't know how to respond.
But also, that's what I'm saying. Like, you spent the day at you're exhausted.
Yeah.
You might think like, like, stop, mom.
Yeah.
Especially if your mom's this type to like be like, wake up,
And then like you see it's like the door opens and closes, but like nothing actually does. Like that.
A light flickers for a sec, like.
And you have your foot off the bed. That's the fear. Maybe it's not demons grabbing my leg. Maybe it's I don't want to be tickled by the demon.
Mm.
Either one is bad.
Ooh.
That's horrible.
And how brave are you to go check the RV? I would have screamed.
I would have screamed. I would have kicked my brother off the bed and been like, go check the RV. Things are getting crazy.
Ooh, Jesus.
I hate that. That was a good one. Good job.
Thank you.
Okay. This is Haunted Water Park by user Let's Get This.
Get this bread. What kind of bread do you like the best?
I love a good French bread.
Like a baguette?
Yeah.
Me too. I fucking love a baguette. A
Mhm.
warm, crusty,
Mm.
soft in the middle. Butter.
Gots to have the butter. I can fuck with a sourdough if there's a soup to dip it in.
I can fuck with sourdough no matter what. I don't like ciabatta. It's not giving what you think it's going to give. I feel like it's going to give mini baguette, and it never does.
No.
It gives, like, English muffin.
I could go for a pumpernickel, though.
Love pump.
With warm butter.
Love pump plain. I'll eat it with, obviously, I'll eat anything with butter.
Obviously, I'll just eat butter, actually. We've discussed this.
No, you'll eat the butter.
I eat the butter.
I don't like cinnamon raisin bread.
Yeah, I don't either, actually, because it also doesn't give what you want it to give. It's not a cinnamon roll.
Right.
And that's what I wanted.
Yeah, I really dislike raisins.
I like raisins, but not in my bread.
I'll eat an oatmeal raisin cookie, actually.
Good.
But that's it. That's the only way I'll consume a raisin.
Cinnamon raisin bread, it's not my vibe. Like, and I don't like, Matt likes those bagels, and I'm like, this is a waste of our money.
Ooh, oh my God. I have to bring you some. There's a bakery not too far from our house called Mindy's Bakery, very popular.
Yeah.
They have a bagel that I'm obsessed with. This is my order. It is called a Black Russian bagel,
Okay.
and it's a pumpernickel bagel.
Bible.
It's a pumpernickel bagel, but with everything seasoning on top.
Ooh, okay.
And they have jardinera cream cheese.
Ooh.
It's unfucking real, bro. It's
Yeah.
so good. And they
I
make
would
them in
like to try
house.
that.
Mm.
I would like to try that.
And a sticky bun.
Okay. This is, I already said it. I literally downloaded Reddit so I can vent about this because I could get fired if I talk about this.
Why do you hate them already?
I don't know. I'm a lifeguard at a water park in Las Vegas. We always brag about how, unlike our competition, we have had 0 casualties at the current location. Good
Okay,
flex.
good for you.
Stuff always happens, like tubes will appear in the pool after we just took them all out and stacked them. Chairs will move around after we just sorted them. Wet footprints on concrete when no one was wet, etc. No one's wet in here, so we joke. Ooh.
Go ahead.
We joke that we don't get paid enough to fight demons. It was just a joke to us, but not to our supervisors or managers.
They're like, you better fucking fight those demons if you want to split tips anymore.
They always made excuses. It was always the wind, or I moved it, or they're my prints. They always got angry at us and said that someone could overhear us and complain. They even went as far to threaten us with defamation lawsuits if we talked about it on social media.
Are you kidding?
It literally says weird, right? Like, that's crazy. That gives, like, the vibes of...
They're killing people.
Don't talk about it. It gives vibes of the Congress Hotel when, like, the front desk was like, what are you talking about? There's no ghosts here. Weird, right? If the park wasn't haunted, why would they care so much about us talking about it? I never cared because I believed my supervisors and managers. Maybe they did move the chairs. Maybe they dipped their feet in the pool and walked away. That was until last month. It was 10 p.m. and we just finished cleaning the park. I had to stay late because I was getting a ride from my supervisor, Ryan. We were the few people left in the park, so we were doing a final walkthrough just to make sure everything was clean. We only had a flashlight and a few light posts illuminating designating our path around the park. We were walking by some slides when I hear someone, a woman, say, "Hello?"
Ew.
I looked at Ryan, who didn't seem to hear it. Then we heard her again. "Hello?" I freaked, and Ryan again didn't seem to hear it. "Did you hear that?" I said to Ryan. He shrugged and continued walking. I stopped and said I didn't want to do the walkthrough with him.
Right. What the fuck?
He rolled his eyes and said if I didn't, I'm refusing to work, which isn't a good thing to say to your supervisor. Like, bro, we're being actively haunted and you're threatening my job right now?
Like, bye. This is not fucking worth it.
This is minimum wage.
And I'm splitting tips.
He told me I was probably just hearing things. Gaslighter extraordinaire. I got a hold of myself and continued walking. We started getting to the back of the park where the light posts were dimmer and it was much quieter since we were further from the running water and the slides.
Nightmare.
Ryan and I started talking about school and college and what we were going to do when the season ends when I heard it again, but it sounded closer this time. "Hello? Anyone there?" She sounded very confused and tired. I jumped, and again, Ryan did not care at all. I was so freaked out, I started feeling nauseous. I wanted to go home, but Ryan was my ride, so I had to stay. What happened next still haunts me. After we heard the voice, we heard what sounded like someone climbing out of the lazy river, soaking wet. No one else is here. If they were, they would be in the office. No one should be swimming.
Oh my god.
Ryan was angry. He thought a lifeguard snuck into the river. He turned around and started yelling, "What the fuck? Go home. This isn't fun." He froze. I said a quick prayer and turned around. There was a lady, soaking wet, wearing a park shirt with our logo on it, but the logo looked very 2000s. I know what our shirts look like. I stand in the shop all the time to get some AC. I have never seen that shirt.
I have severe goosebumps right now.
She was hunched over and her hair covered her face. She spoke. "Hello, can you help me?" Ryan grabbed my arm and we bolted to the office. Lifeguards weren't allowed inside the office ever. It's a whole thing. But he let me come inside. He pulled one of the managers into the supply room and shut the door. Another supervisor started asking me if I was okay. I was breathing heavily and couldn't speak, but I nodded yes. I feel like absolutely not, fucking not. Like, call my mom.
Okay, being like, I'm alive.
Ryan and the manager came out of the room, and Ryan grabbed his stuff and said, "Let's go." Oh, wait, hold on. He pulled the managers. Oh, he pulled one of the managers into the supply room and shut the door. Another supervisor. Oh, okay. Another supervisor. Okay, I already said all that. Sorry.
Okay.
Ryan and the manager came out of the room, and Ryan grabbed his stuff and said, "Let's go." We got in his car, and he said we needed to stop by the gas station first. When we pulled in, he told me to type my address in his phone. Well, he pumped gas. When he got in the car, I broke the silence. "What the fuck was that? What happened?" He turned the car on and started driving. "I can't tell anyone. It's like a park secret, but I'll tell if you swear not to tell anyone."
Are you kidding?
I swore. And he said, "Back in 2002, before this location of the park was built, there was a park on the Strip. It was the only water park in Vegas. We only had one casualty, and it was a lady who came in with her family. She got drunk and went to the lazy river where she sank to the bottom of the river. And because there were so many tubes, the lifeguard didn't see her and she drowned. That's why we have so many lifeguards for the river and why our tubes are see-through now." So, was that her? Yeah. Why is she here? I don't know. She's probably confused. She's always asking for help. And he said, "So did you hear her?" And he said, "Yeah, but everyone does when you're in the park late at night. It's a whole different story if you see her." "What happens if you see her?" "Nothing, but it's scary." The car ride was silent the rest of the way. I still work at the park, but Ryan talked to the managers and convinced them to let me work only morning shifts. Ryan quit recently due to college. I only told 2 coworkers, but only because they had experiences themselves. Thanks for letting me vent. Also, appreciate lifeguards and the shit we go through. And I read the comments and someone was like, "Weird, that wouldn't have a record or anything." And it did say, like, there is a record of it, but because it was technically, like, a different business, like, they closed down and then reopened under a different...
It's not going to say.
Yeah, it doesn't affect their current business, but there is a record of that woman drowning there. That's horrifying. First of all...
The sound, you know the exact sound of someone dripping wet getting out of the lazy river.
Absolutely. To hear someone like,
Hello?
can you help me? Like, throw up in the river. That's what I'm doing.
I mean, we heard the splashes at Potato Creek.
And I peed myself.
That was unbelievable. I can't believe we did that.
And then the sound, the unmistakable sound, but then to like breathe, like, okay,
Mhm.
there's obviously a ghost here. We'll be fine. And turn around
Mhm.
and see a ghost? Like, what? Did she like reach for you? Her hair was covering. It's too much.
That
for
one
me.
was a good one. That was a really scary one because that's a situation. It's like, I hope that never fucking happens to me.
Yeah. Like, and the fact that the managers are so weird about it, like, you know, it's the most haunted place you've ever stepped foot in.
You know that they've actually like had like probably went to go help her once. You know?
What do you think happens when you try and help her?
I don't know.
Do you think she like grabs on you and like looks into your eyes,
Or
she
like
just like disappears?
no, I feel like they see her dead body in the little lazy river.
No.
Yeah, I feel like that's like my brain goes like she calls you and then you could like see it
I would throw up.
because that's why they were ignoring it. They've gone to help her.
Oh, for sure. Ew. Oh, can you imagine being the one that like jumps in? You jump in the water to go save her, and you realize it's a fucking
And like
ghost.
you feel on your back like her foot or something.
Ew. Just like.
Yeah, no, I would actually no, I would die of fright. You know that like scary stories to tell in the dark whenever she like dies because her dress gets stuck on a twig.
Yeah,
Me.
that's me.
Me as fuck. Me as fuck.
Yeah, she thinks it's like a hand,
'Cause
a
she's in
skeleton
the
hand.
graveyard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. That was
Okay.
scary. That was a good one.
that was a really good one.
Sweaty.
Okay, this is a long one. This is called, oh, this person like has a very haunted life.
Oh,
Yeah, and they've posted multiple times in this r/ghost stories.
I love that.
They're called Young Ghost in the Shell, and it's the theme park that I worked at. And they said that this is part 3 of an ongoing series of my life.
Oh my god.
And they link the other 2, but I'm not fucking. Oh my god! I think I've read one of these. It's like the basement I grew up in.
Oh.
Okay. School was finally coming to close for the year. All around the hallways were posted signs to come in and work for our town's local theme park. They must have needed workers badly as they were allowing kids as young as 15 to sign up. Well, when, 15-year-olds were allowed to work.
Yeah.
Up until like pretty recently.
Yeah.
I don't think they can anymore, but
That's what babysitting's for.
they must have needed. Okay, I just had my 15th birthday and I figured it would be cool to have have my own cash for a change instead of mooching off my parents whenever I needed to indulge my expensive gaming habit. I grew up in a small town that didn't have many people. I was told that they installed the first stop signs on our roads when I was born. Our town's theme park was built to match. It was old, and I mean it was built in the late 1800s.
Ew.
It had the original wooden roller coaster that needed to be replaced with new wood every so often.
Did they have roller coasters in the 1800s? So just
Um,
like a wagon on a steep hill?
I think they probably did, but people died a lot.
Probably. It's like those guys that build them in their backyard, and it's like, this isn't up to
Those
code.
feel safer than the fucking than the
Six
American
Flags.
Eagle at Six Flags.
Oh,
Literally,
American Eagle.
I hate it. It gives me a migraine. They kept it around as a tourist attraction. Oh, you couldn't ride it.
Oh, okay, that's probably safe.
It was in fact the theme of the entire park. When I was younger, all the kids in our local school would take a field trip to the park. It was not just all fun and games. They had an entire section that was basically a museum to the town. They had flown in old buildings that the pioneers had what? They had flown in old buildings that the pioneers had actually used shortly after their trek west. Every day they would do reenactments in the town. They would strut out onto the street from the authentic old saloon and have fake gunfights. Okay, so this is like a period piece.
I'm here. I'm there.
This section of the park would always close earlier than the part that had rides or game stands. For my friends and I, it was kind of a game to evade the security patrols at 7 p.m. when it was closing down. They would kick everybody out and search to make sure nobody lingered. I figured that they must have done that because it didn't get much money from the attraction at night and wanted to save money by shutting it down. The interview was a breeze. There was basically a line of teenagers holding blank resumes as we were all told to bring one, but none of us actually had any real work experience. The line ended with a bored 20-something who would ask us a few questions. As long as the kid didn't sound too crazy, they would rubber stamp us into a position that needed filling. Can you hold a broom? I remember being asked. You don't mind working late, do you? Ooh, ominous.
Spooky.
And so I was assigned the prestigious position of mopping and cleaning as a roaming position throughout the park. That was called tasking at Magic Kingdom, by the way. This meant that each day I would find out what section of the park I would be assigned to. Literally, okay, so that's what's kind of it. Like, tasking at Magic Kingdom, like, we all had a rotation, and every single time you got the end of rotation, which was on a little receipt slip type thing, you had to go pull a new rotation. And then it would tell you where you are in the rotation, and then you bump that person out of their spot, and they go to the next spot. And you just, like, know the rotation.
Yeah.
And sometimes too many people were on shift, and, like, people were lunching and stuff, and it just so happened that you might go to pull rotation, and you get a task. And it's for the entire part of your rotation, so, like, probably, like, an hour and a half, you were tasked with, like, doing the strollers or sweeping or making sure everybody had water, or you like, breaking people for, like, bathroom breaks.
Yeah.
This week I had been assigned swing shifts, and I walked up through the employee entrance to get my assignment card in the lobby. It read 5 p.m. to close, section 4A. Ugh, I never knew where I was going or what the sections meant. I walked up to the giant map statue thing and started scouring it. When I tracked down the location, it was in a shaded part of the park. I had never worked in a shaded area before. That's when I realized it was the west intersection. I was excited, and the west intersection had the reputation of being one of the most laid-back areas to work. The day was typical. Pretended to sweep the already dusty roads when the boss was looking and otherwise goof off. At 7 p.m., as security was, I think it's supposed to say, rounding everybody up, my boss got a call on his walkie-talkie. I know you're new here, but I have to go help Sharon with the ice cream machine again in 4B. Go mop up in there, scrub everything down, and lock up.
Yuck.
With that, he briskly walked away down the road.
Woo. The way I would not mop down anything and just lock stuff up.
Yeah. I remember approaching the building and inspecting it. I had never been in there before. Or if I had, it was on a school trip and forgot about it. When I entered the building, I entered down the long hallway. The hallway eventually led into an actual schoolhouse. It was a genuine school from the first settlers. The foyer had a wooden pole fence in front of it that must have been used to corral kids into the classroom to keep them there. There was an old chalkboard up in front as well. On top of the fence, there was a giant pane of glass that the park constructed to keep viewers out of the room. I thought this was semi-interesting and started cleaning. Right. Kelly's shaking her head no. None of this applies to you because it wouldn't happen to you and you'd never do it and you'd quit.
Correct.
That's when I noticed that the air had suddenly dropped at least 10 to 20 degrees. I could actually see my breath.
Hell no.
That's
Because I forget that this is not just like an amusement park.
no, it's also like a museum, western
right.
town.
They flew these in from the first settlers. Vomit.
When I looked up, I noticed that the glass was all fogged up in front of me. I watched in horror as first. What?
Read it out loud while it's happening.
Sorry. I then watched in horror as first a few at a time and then hundreds of tiny handprints etched their way onto the glass from the other side.
I'll vomit right now.
That was enough for me. I bolted out of the building as fast as I could. Why is this stuff starting up again? Since my childhood, remember, this person has very haunted. Since my childhood experiences, I had written everything off to be a dumb kid and remember things wrong. I really didn't want to lose my job, so I gingerly locked the door to the damn building. It was a good thing, too, because there was no way I was going back in there. Nothing much else happened at the park until one day I read on the card 5 p.m. to close, section 4C. I felt a pit in the bottom of my stomach. Should I quit now?
Yes.
Yes. No, I must have been imagining things last time. Don't be a wimp, I told myself. This time, I was assigned to clean the antique store. It was filled with knickknacks on various shelves that were similarly glassed off as the school was. One row of shelves had old tonics, elixirs, and various medicines. They were in the original bottles. As I cleaned, I finally got to the back of the shelves. The second I saw it, I knew this was not good. It was filled with those old-time dolls that used to be on all the rage. They were miniature girls sitting on the shelves. I'm just going to finish cleaning and get the hell out of here, I thought. That's when I noticed something peculiar about them. They were all facing away from me on the shelf. Why would you put up this horrific display and not have the dolls facing the onlookers? I had to finish up. It was getting late and my boss didn't like to be kept waiting. I mopped the last section without incident. When I looked up, however, I jumped in surprise. All the dolls are now facing me, with the one furthest to the left that had actually finished swiveling her head as I looked up. I booked it. I bet you're thinking I quit at this point. Of course I didn't. All my friends work there now, and some of my coworkers were cute girls. The final event at the park, and subsequently my last night working there.
Oh man.
When
if
I was
you didn't I'm sorry.
no,
The first night you didn't like quit, wild. You see a doll's head swivel to
like
look
finish
at you
swiveling.
and you don't quit. There's not a girl cute enough in this world.
Not one.
Sorry. I
No,
had
I'm
to
just
prepare
like thinking
myself.
about like it's already kind of dark in there, and like the dolls were facing away from me. Like that's fucking weird. And then
Because you know they're facing forward normally. You know what I mean?
yeah, or I don't know,
So that means that they already like turn themselves to look away.
or the heads. And then like he looked up, and the last one had just finished going like this.
And what do? You're in the room. You're like you're in the like last section in the back. And now you have to be
Mhm.
like, I feel like it's one of those moments where you have to be like, and that's my time here. And now I'm going to lock the door.
Yeah,
And
I would pretend that everything's fine,
You have to because the
alone.
second you run, something is grabbing you.
or the door's locked.
And the dolls are killing you.
When I was cleaning the old saloon, so that was his last night. It was equipped with a bar, of course, a piano, and a dance hall. Or maybe just people congregated in the open area. I had no idea. Behind the bar was an assortment of old drawers. As I dusted the top of the bar, I got a sickly, uneasy feeling. I felt something wasn't right. Looking down, I saw that one of the drawers were ajar. I knew that I shouldn't, but I just had to. I opened the drawer and found a piece of paper with a pen next to it. What was odd was the paper was brand new and so was the pen. This was not part of the exhibit. What I read on that piece of paper shocked me to my core. I am not going to write exactly what it said as it was too personal. It was a detailed suicide note written in what seemed to be my handwriting, and there was no signature at the bottom. That was the last straw. Had I written this? Am I going fucking crazy? Had whatever I summoned up into my childhood followed me here?
What?
He conjured something in his childhood.
I feel like we're gonna have to read the other stories.
I feel like he did a good job of making this its own thing.
Yeah.
Eventually, we're going to read the other stories.
For sure. It came back and it's like, ha ha ha.
I don't know if I'll ever get the answers to these questions. I stormed out of the building, lit the paper on fire, and quit the next day. The end.
Holy shit.
Dude, you're haunted as fuck.
Right. Like that feels like whatever followed you used like the other spirits or like that town as like, oh, this is a new way to scare the shit out of you. You know what I mean? Having not heard whatever he conjured in his childhood. But like that's not giving the schoolhouse
Oh my god.
schoolhouse haunts.
I would close the drawer. I don't have that.
In your handwriting? I don't know that I know my handwriting enough to like if I saw a piece of paper.
I would know
I
mine.
wouldn't be like, that's my handwriting.
I write a lot. I would know mine.
I write a lot too, but also my handwriting changes depending on like
Your mood.
my mood, my angle,
Yeah.
how fast I'm writing.
No, mine's pretty much always the same.
Damn. So first of all that, but like the details, like I'm sure that would be too much because before you could be like, this is the schoolhouse, the hundreds of children hands, I would throw up on the glass.
That's the worst one to me. And it's
you're-
like slow and shit.
It
Oh
was
my
just, like,
god.
appearing.
I have a ghost story.
Tell me.
when I was visiting my family, my aunt told me this story, but my grandma never has. And she's like, didn't, because she had asked me about my pod.
Sorry, hold on to
Comfort
something.
And I was like, what are you talking about? And she was saying that my grandma was like out with her friends or whatever, like being a kid or whatever. And she grew up in like rural Texas.
Yeah.
And she was playing and she had to go to the bathroom, so she like scurried away from them, like through like a field, and then like found this like spot of this old railroad, and she like was able to balance herself, and she like peed by the railroad.
Yeah.
Apparently she looked up, this is how it was described to me. I wonder what the actual interpretation is. She looked up at the sun.
Yeah.
The sun smiled at her. What? It freaked her out. She ran, like she hurried up and ran, and the train came.
What?
I don't know. It sent chills down my spine when I heard it. I didn't ask my grandma about it because she's never told me that.
And like that just feels like more than a ghost.
I don't know if it feels like it was the sun.
Right.
I feel like maybe it was like an orb.
Yeah.
And that's not the first encounter my family's had with the trains. I told you about how my mom.
No.
Yeah, I think I've told the story. My mom, when she was messing around, she had a lot of stupid shit with like that kind of stuff. But at an old train track, they parked.
You did.
They put a car in neutral at the top of the tracks. It was like not a used train track.
Yeah.
And they left it overnight. It was like covered in flour, and they came back, and there were 3 sets of handprints in the back.
Yeah, that stuff scares the shit out of me. And that's what happened with that guy, the handprints.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's really freaky. That's like you don't even want to know any more details about that.
I didn't.
Ugh.
And one time, Mariel had a handprint, like childlike handprint bruise. I sent you a picture of it.
No.
Yeah, I'll have to find it. I sent it. I like, yeah.
What?
Yeah, it like looked like a tiny handprint, but a bruise.
Why? Why?
I don't know.
You have small hands, maybe.
No, it was small.
I don't want this in my mouth. That's scary.
On like their calf.
Look at my hand. It's wet.
Oh my god.
I'm
wet. What's wet?
Yeah, I am freaking
But
out.
yeah, when my aunt told me that, I was like, what does that mean? The sun smiled. I feel like that means something else.
Yeah.
And that's how she was able to interpret it at the time. Like my grandma was able to interpret it at the time.
And she's in no place to like go back to that kind of memory.
Right. Right.
I don't know. I hate that.
Me too.
Okay. That was a really good story, and I want to hear the rest of his because that sounds like he's been dealing with some shit. Okay. So this is by Root KRP. Six Flags Magic Mountain. While stocking up one of the carts from within an unused, empty location, I had an unexplainable experience. The location I was in used to be a restaurant that served pizza, Laughing Dragon, near Superman, if you're familiar with the park. It's empty and void of life and only gets used on occasion for maybe some training. The tables that were used for the restaurant were stacked upside down on one another and on one side. The tables were heavy, concrete-topped tables. Oh, so they're stacked upside down on one side, not on one another.
Okay.
The tables were heavy, concrete-topped tables, and would take 2 guys to move them. Upon entering the location and beginning my inventory, I felt uneasy and chalked it up to being tired and creeped because it was late. To get to the stockroom, you have to pass by the dining area with the tables, and so I did without incident. After counting our overpriced ice creams, I turned around to head out the way I came and locked up. What met me as I turned around,
No.
the dark corner freaked me out. Right there, blocking my exit, were 3 tables sitting right side up and lined up, obstructing my path. I called out if anyone was there and was met with silence.
Why are we calling out? I hate that.
I simply turned around and ran to the back entrance and left the building from there. Afterwards, I explained to a coworker how I was alone up there and heard absolutely no one, and how the heavy as hell tables got moved and flipped so swiftly and silently. I was then later told that a little boy with a heart condition ran all the way up the hill, racing his friends, and essentially dropped dead right in front of that restaurant, probably 10 feet from where the incident occurred. I hate closing at night now.
Well, closing at night at a theme park. I can speak to that.
Yeah.
For the roller coaster, we had like for the other one, it was annoying, but it was easy to do. Dumbo, I mean,
Yeah.
super easy to close Dumbo down. It's just irritating. For the roller coaster, we had to like it was a whole system. Like you had to clear the track. You had to make sure no one else was on the coaster. Like you had
Yeah.
to send a couple empty planes, is what we would call it.
Oh, okay.
And you have someone at the front being like, you can't get on the ride, yada
Yeah.
yada. And then we power down,
Yeah.
and then you have to like put it's called a blue ID.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a Disney ID saying you're working there. You put it in a pocket and you go get a key to unlock the fence to go walk the track.
Ugh, that would be horrible.
Yeah, you like unlock the fence and walk the track to like pick up anything like hats and shit. And it's normally you and one other person doing this.
Yeah.
And then like shutting down the ride.
Mm-hmm.
That ride was up against the border of the park, so it's woods, acres,
Ugh.
because Disney owns fucking Orlando, Florida.
Yeah.
And so if there's only two of you and one of you is at the top and like has the bag of hats and shit, and you hear something, what do you think that is?
Ugh, I can't imagine with like, especially like rides where, and probably Disney, like a lot of shit's gotten covered up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that
Allegedly.
Yeah, Disney don't come for us. This is just a hobby.
Well, this is my experience, and I didn't sign no fucking NDA.
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
Yeah.
But no, I think that would be so scary. Also, I'd be afraid that the ride would turn on.
Right, so that's why like it goes through a series of like
Right.
shutting down protocol. Like you're trained on how to shut it down, and
Yeah.
The ride is also situated which you wouldn't like get decapitated or anything if it turned on.
Right.
But I mean, you're at a kiddie park.
Yeah.
So how often did we hear little kids laughing?
Did you really?
Oh my god, all the time.
That would make me vomit.
At park close. Like
I hate that.
And we clear the park. Like you check everywhere to make sure there's no guests. Like and then like the night shift comes out to make sure. And
that's like similar to the like pool story. It's like you have to, if you hear a kid laughing, you have to check.
Yeah.
You
and then you have to check.
And then you have to figure out that it's a ghost, and you have to be like, okay, this is my life right now. I need to go home. I hate that.
The only thing after if you're on a ride that's on the border of Magic Kingdom, the only thing outside of that is the train track that like takes you the Disneyland. It's like Disney World Railroad that takes you around the park if you like want to get off somewhere else because it's a lot of walking. But that stops before the park closes.
Ugh. I hate that. I'm trying to think of my jobs, like the closing. Starbucks closing wasn't too bad. It was in the morning that the ghost activity would be like high. Payless was actually terrifying because you had to do the alarm in the back, and then you had to go through because Payless was like a long hallway basically. And there was definitely something there, and you could like almost see out of the corner of your eye like a shadow walking to the front with you. That was pretty spooky.
Gap was haunted.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, we would.
Did you have to close at Gap?
Oh my god, all the time. I didn't, but I wasn't a manager, so like it was me and a manager.
Right.
Or like sometimes me, manager, and like one other.
Yeah.
Regular like sales rep.
That was my experience at Payless. I was never the manager.
Yeah. And there was two shifts, but there was one in particular that was like the scariest. And I don't know if he listens to this, but I wonder if he remembers. And after it, we always had like a running joke.
What happened?
So it was like the front door was locked.
Yeah.
Lights were turned off.
Yeah.
Except for like the ones that don't ever turn off.
Right. Yeah.
And you're putting away all like the go backs or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We heard the hangers moving on one of the racks, and then we both like turned at the same time because all one floor. There's no rooms.
Right.
We both turned. And we heard it again from the same spot, and we're like both looking at it. And then he was like, there was a girl that I always just happened to close with, and he was like, earlier I thought she was in here with us.
Shut up.
And we got scared, bro. And literally we're like, okay, fine, fuck it. And we left everything on the counters. We didn't do all of the tasks. And he's like, I'll just tell them that like it it got weird or something. Like I'll
Yeah.
just take the blame for it. And we locked up and left.
Oh my
Like we heard like
God.
the specific, like if you were to like be shopping, like that sound, and there's no music because you turn it off,
Yeah.
and all but like 2 overhead fluorescent lights are on or off, and we both heard it, and it was crazy because we were in the middle of talking, we heard it, and we both looked,
Ugh.
and then it happened again, like as if we didn't even look, like it didn't matter.
Ew, and the fact that he was like, yeah, I thought she was here. Like,
Yeah, I don't want to say her name, but like
Yeah.
we'll call her Brenda.
yeah.
He's like, I earlier said like called her. I was like, Brenda, help me put this away.
Ew.
And he's like, and then I looked over and saw that you were at the front, and that I remembered like she had left, before.
No, I'm glad that he took the L on that one.
Yeah, and there was another time where it was like the store was going to be closed the next day because we were doing inventory, like whole overhaul.
Yeah.
And we were changing the mannequins in the windows, which are not just the windows at the one I was at. You had to like open a locked door to go in the hallway that are the windows.
Yuck.
Yeah. And so you'd be like in the window, like moving the mannequins and shit.
Yeah.
And there's only one way in, one way out. That shit's a fire hazard, bro.
Yeah.
So I was changing a mannequin that was kind of deep in there, and I'm like, it's not tall enough to walk in. You have to like crawl.
Ugh.
And like stand and you're like kind of hunched because it's a kid's clothes. They don't have to make a full thing.
Right.
So we had like maternity or whatever, and I heard the door open behind me, and I was like, oh, thank God. Can you hand me, I need 2 size 2Ts, shirts or something. And then nothing. And then I was like, I said his name,
Yeah.
and I was like, Steve,
Yeah.
can I please have 2T of the striped whatever?
Yeah.
Nothing. I'm like, oh my fucking God. Threw all the shit down, walk out. The door's open.
Yeah.
No one. No one. Steve's at fucking lunch. No one, bro.
Shut.
It was
up.
me and Brenda. And Brenda was at the front, like, doing the cash rack.
No.
Yeah, dude. Scary.
Ew. Yuck.
Yeah.
Well, if you've ever been to an amusement park or had a job where something scary happened to you, please write in at coolbeanspodcast.
I love that shit.
At gmail.com. I do too.
I love I was at work by myself haunted shit.
Especially when it's like, it's just your shitty high school job and you're like, and I also was haunted then.
Yeah. Like, it was horrible and I hated being alive. And then on top of that, when I clocked in, so did Moaning Myrtle.
But yeah, just DM us or something. Thanks for joining.
And spilling
the Cool Beans.
beans.